Good morning, traders, and welcome to the Bookmap All Markets webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap. Good morning, traders. We will go through the order flow in the live market. Any markets that you guys want to take a look at. Typically, we start with the S&P E-mini and get a broad overall outlook on what's happening within the markets. We can look at crypto, we can look at stocks, we can look at other futures markets as well. All right, general disclosure, all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure, trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so let's see here. Good morning, everybody. Can you see and hear my screen and hear me over in Discord? I think it's all good. And yep, working over here in YouTube. Good morning, everybody. Morning, Rob. Okay. Good morning, CMJ. Okay. All right, we are good to go. All right, so well, yeah, markets are kind of all over the place here. This morning, we had some the PPI data earlier. You can see the reaction to that immediately. Very strong move and beautiful pattern in here. Move back up above into the kind of current, or I'm sorry, this other kind of point of control basically in here, or just most traded level within. And this is really important, how to define some of these things, because you read about point of control in books, and oh yeah, that's the look for high volume nodes, low volume nodes. Why though? All right, why? This is a previous value area. Something happened here and traders pushed it away from that area. The data came out. The data was, well, that's a little more complex in the reading of that. It was bad data, but that means actually good for the markets in this sense. So we got to move back up into this previous range. If we take this range here and take it right across, we came right up into the middle of it. Now, what's the highest or most traded level in there? That would be considered value. And that's very easy to see with the high volume nodes in here, or point of control in this case. So it's right there, and that's right where we came to. Now, a lot of traders are reacting to that. They're trading volume profile or market profile, and that's the value they're looking for. They're looking for a test back to that area. You can see the pullback here, likely some profit taking, or shorts starting to reload. And then you can see that this turned into quite a nice flag pattern in here, which again, the pattern just means there's a strong move, there's a pullback, and it's followed up by another strong move. Now this one's extremely strong in here, and look exactly where it went. High liquidity on the offer up here around 33. Okay, went a little higher than that, and then look at the sellers come right back in. And where did we come back to? Okay. I mean, looking for an answer from you guys. Come on, I know you guys know this. We just covered it. High volume node, back into value. Exactly. Now, what we're talking about here is the structure, market structure. And instead of like reading about these things and understanding them on in much higher level about oh, it's a high volume node, price is going to go there. It's going there because of the order flow and the transactions. That's the key to understand this and look through this in a different lens. That's exactly where it went back to. Okay, now there's a lot of people that are reading books and following gurus on YouTube or whatever. And they're told to do that, and they just follow it. And if it makes them money, they just follow it. Okay, great. Well, that's fine. So that's kind of like like the saying, art for art's sake. You're not really maybe understanding the what's behind it all, but you're just kind of understanding the higher level and just reacting to that. Okay, but in here, what it means is that there's a lot of traders in here. We have a move away from that. We have a move back into it, and then they explore the outside of that as well and test up into high liquidity in here. Not enough buyers after that. We got to move back down to retest this area here. And you can see that we're finding buyers right now. Okay, once you start to understand some of these structural elements, not just the definitions of them, but what's behind them in the order flow and the transactions, that's going to make a big difference. Okay, and then it opens up everything. Everything's a fair game at that point. You can derive any kind of trading strategy from these things on your own very easily by understanding these concepts in here. More art, less gurus. I like it. I like it. Slow down. My comment on that was like, look. I have a background in went to art school. You study art history. If I didn't take the art history classes, I wouldn't be able to know what some of the things are in the museums. But I know because I studied it, and I know the details in the background, and I'm no great shakes at it. But I go to the museum with friends, and they don't understand. They don't have that kind of context, but and they don't care. It's like, well, how does it relate to me? How does it relate to my life? Anyway, getting a deeper understanding of the order flow here, the true elements here. If we talked about this before in the past, the first principles. Market structure is made up of the order flow and the transactions. That's it. This whole market is made up of orders and participants in the auction. That's it. Those are the first principles. This is just higher time frame structure based on the first principles. Okay, that's it. So we can come in here and zoom in and look at some of these elements in here. Okay, where's our high volume node? Well, we're right at it right now in this small range. Okay, there's a lot of volume up here though that transacted on the bid side or on the buy side, and they traded right into high liquidity. Not enough buyers to trade through it. Sellers take it back down. Now, got a little bit of, let's just take a little bit of a look here. Sellers coming back in and a little bit of back and forth in here. But let's see now, if we can get buyers back up here, I would look for them to come right back up here to 425 and retest it. Okay, just because there were transactions up here before. Now we know also we get more detail in here. This was a stop run up here. Okay, but let's just take this across and look at it. Okay, and understand that, well, it auctioned up here and we found a bunch of buyers and then sellers pushed it away really quickly. Okay, do buyers want to come back and revisit this area in here? Does it have value? And we're kind of getting our answer here. Yeah, they started to go after it, but only up to this previous swing here and where these sellers came in and moved it away. And that's what we know in here. Okay? So now look at how attractive or attracted price is to this area in here. Right? It's just bashing back and forth. Right? See how this can open up all sorts of strategies for you. It's like, well, if that is the case, then, if I don't see a lot of buyers, like I see some exhaustion in here, great. Looking for a little bit of selling to come in, move it back down to the bottom of the range, take some off, and then anticipate. Now, it may continue, and it may continue down to here. Okay, but at least down to the bottom of the range, because this isn't, price is attracted to this area. Okay, now we're getting an extended move away from this area now. Okay, and let's see, is it on high volume? Yeah, it's not bad. Right now, So now if we don't find sellers and we find a lot on the bid and we find buyers, like right up here, let's say at 21, if we get buyers up here, I would look for them to retest not only back to the bottom of the range in here where it broke down from, okay, but maybe even to the middle of the range of that high volume node, or maybe even to the other side of the range in here. Right? Now we didn't get that in here. We got very little buying and sellers came in again. So we're getting this kind of extended move, and we have now sellers moving it away from areas. Okay, so now they've tested here. There was high liquidity in here, and we went lower down into here. Right. So again, what I'm trying to get at here in this is starting to understand the market structure, but it's really based upon the orders in the auction and the transactions. What traders they define the value. Shark Blue, good morning. Can you point to another area of exhaustion again, please? Yeah, exhaustion is pretty easy thing to see in here. It's a lack of trading. Okay, Shark Blue, you will find this probably infinitely important for the way that you trade. I've seen you around value areas trading, and etc. In fact, I had some comments on that. We just didn't cover you yesterday in the Bookmap Academy meeting. So here we have this move to the downside, and look at the sellers in here. And then look at the buyers here. And now we had some exhaustion here as well, and a retest by the sellers, right? It retested here, and there was none. That's why we found a few buyers in here to lift it back up, just not finding enough. Look at the relative volume of this in here compared to the sellers in here all the way through. Okay? Now, if we got a big volume dot like this over here, it would be more likely that it would come back up and retest here, and then maybe curl back down. Okay, now, what we got instead was basically, it's not truly exhaustion. There was some transactions up here. So there was some interest to buy, just not enough. They overpowered by some of the selling in here. And this is an interesting one. We've seen this one again and again, and watch for it. Really look for it. Buyers here, but they're failing to even lift it back up to this little previous area here. Look for the sellers to come in, okay, and move it away, because the sellers have moved it. We're finding buyers that can't even lift it back up to it's just a couple of ticks in the S&P here, but they can't do it. There's not enough interest, and I would even say likely an iceberg, but I don't see one there. And then the sellers come in and move it, okay, at that point. Right? So these are the things to look at, especially like these strong moves and then the pullback. Okay? Exhaustion or lack of interest, and then more selling again. Target the high liquidity bottom of the range first, and then maybe continuation. All right. Hope that answers your question. Let's see here. Other questions. Oh, what's the question? Okay, so the question was, can I point to areas of exhaustion? Right, so exhaustion is just the lack of transactions at a level, or more precisely at some of these areas in here where it's most helpful is in the range. Here's another one right here. Here's another one right here. Okay, so this is trending down. These little areas for pullbacks are just beautiful in a trend. Okay, wow, that turned into a really big move here, or a nice move here. So that was about a 10-point move down here. Okay. Now let's take a look here. Okay, are we low enough to find buying interest? And if so, well, let's take a look. We're going to find them. We are finding some, okay, and they were able to lift it to the sellers up here in the auction. Okay, now, do we get enough buyers in here right now to break it? Looks like it. What about the book? Are they bidding up? Yeah, they are. They are a little bit in here. Okay, so let's see if we get we can see we hit this liquidity and faded off of that. Okay, let's see, do we get enough buyers to come back up here and then break out from that area? No, nothing yet. In fact, sellers are going to take it right back down to probably this liquidity or maybe even bottom of the range here. Okay, see how you can read that? We're looking for this scenario, and if this scenario doesn't unfold, we're looking for the sellers. Okay, now here come the buyers back. Now let's look at the relative volume. What about this volume compared to this volume in here? Okay, well, there's more sellers in here, but it's mostly here. Okay, it's in this little area. We're getting very specific. So if that is the case, then we can go through a scenario. What if we get buyers back up above that level here? Strong buying right up here. And then we would look for a retest probably back to this swing and maybe even a breakout of that area. Okay, now that scenario is not unfolding. Okay, sellers are still just coming in and hitting the bid. Okay, so look, we're looking for that continuation move down into here and then here at well 13 and then 12. Okay, now let's take a look at this in here, and I'm going to cover this, and I want to go over some trading activity earlier in the day. Okay, so look at these moves in here. Okay, we're looking at kind of relative moves in here. Okay, this is like ATR basically. Okay, so we're talking about these relative moves in here. Okay, now did we complete that move? Yeah, we did, definitely. So I would start to look for pullbacks maybe in these areas here. I'm not saying that we're going to get buyers in here and come all the way back up or a reversal, just looking for pullbacks. Okay, what's an average pullback in here? Okay, well, maybe something like this, right? So we're just getting a feel for, what to expect. Okay. Now we didn't get that. That would have been a good, little pullback back up to here. We didn't get it. We got about half of that, and sellers come in and hit the bid hard. Okay, so now we're down at 10 again. All right, so you can integrate some of these ideas within your trading plan by understanding the market structure and some of these moves in here. So this move, actually, we even drew it up here, and let's see if it kind of matches in here. Yeah. Okay, so now we have a move down into here, and that seems to be kind of, at least in this time frame, kind of normal. So what are we expecting? A pullback. Okay. Now this is a counter trend trade, but we're just looking for that, and we'd be looking for maybe back up to about here, 13 or so. Okay, maybe 14, right? In the market, and why are we looking for that? Well, there's just so much market selling before we get a break, and then market selling, and then we get kind of a break. Okay, that's the concept in here. So we're going to find buyers, and they're going to try to bring it back into previous transactions in here. Okay, so that's it. And what about the order flow at some of these areas? Well, they're on the bid in here. Did they trade through it? They traded into it. Did they trade through it? No. Are we getting buyers coming in? Yeah. Now, what about the condition of these buyers in here? It's not bad. Actually, it is kind of bad. The sellers are definitely dominating in here, and this is very low volume compared. So therefore, I'm just looking for a move back to this 13. Okay. Now, maybe the scenario unfolds in here and we get some really strong buying up here. Okay. Then we'd look for another move, probably back up to about 16 then. Okay. Now, the other scenario is we look for the seller's exhaustion here, sellers coming in, and then maybe we can get a continuation move to the downside. All right. So this is how we can start to look at structure and also trends in here. With looking at exhaustion and the sellers, whoever is in control. So now look at the back and forth in here, and look at our buyers now. Okay, all right, buyers. Then let's see if you should be able to move it back up to about this. I like the swing here. We're basically there, but maybe you can come up a little bit higher. And let's take a look. Okay, now we've kind of done the move. Right? So, and now how strong are these buyers in here compared to these sellers in here? It's not bad. Maybe we'll get a little bit of move back and forth. This is where it becomes a little more or a little less clear. Okay, it can go either way now. Okay, we're seeing some buyers, but not really a lot. But it's not bad. And maybe the sellers are finished now. Okay, do we see sellers coming in here now? No, not really. Okay, so yeah, we're not going sell side in here yet. Okay, in fact, that would have been a counter trend trade, but we had good reason for looking for that counter trend trade in here. Okay, now we don't know. There's going to be some back and forth in here, and this is going to be kind of what Wyckoff talks about in terms of your accumulation and distribution. Okay, so there's going to be some back and forth in here now, right? So anyway, I hope you understand some of these concepts or makes clarity or sense to you, because once we start to understand these things, it really does open up the whole market here in terms of structure, understanding. And this works on all time frames. Okay, to micro structural levels in here to more macro, bigger picture levels as well. All right, so let's do you guys want to go through some? I have a few trade examples, and I can kind of go through some of this, some of the decision making of the trading within these areas as well. Would you like to see some of that? If not, that's okay. Okay. All right, Stephen. Yeah, sounds good. The red high liquidity areas can act as support and resistance. Yeah, absolutely, they can. Just a clearer definition of what it is. It truly is supply and demand. Okay, so and they can be support and resistance clearly. It's just support and resistance is you draw your lines of like price action basically, but now we know due to the heat map in here, there is supply up here. There is no question about that. There is supply up here at 18 and also at this kind of 20.5 level up here. Okay, and there is demand down here. Okay, where's the resistance? Well, resistance would probably be up here, right? Around 19 at the swing. And that would be the distinction between the two. All right. Okay, Ida. So let's go through a couple. We're going to kind of veer away from the price action at the moment. And we'll come back to it. Any kind of insights on the bigger picture in here? I mean, this changed everything in here. The fundamental news changed everything here at 8:30. So this would be for those that are still bullish. This is a buy down in this area here. Also, this is a buy down here as well. So at 02, or even maybe the figure just kind of dip below it and see if there's exhaustion down here, a bigger time frame. Look for the buyers to come back in and move it back up, and they would probably move it back up into the value area that we have kind of drawn here in our rectangle. Okay, guys. All right, so yeah, now you can see our bounce off of here, and we have come up to that 16 level. Right, so in here we had some selling actually, and it looked like they were going to take it down, and then the buyers did come in here and move it back up. Right, so yeah, just kind of accumulation, distribution type of area, and a little back and forth in here at the moment. All right, so we'll come back and take a look here. I don't really have kind of a bigger picture idea yet. We can also look at some diagonal lines in here. And we're just seeing it kind of bash around that as well. So nothing really clear right now. Kind of in the middle of these support and resistance areas, or supply and demand areas as well. Okay, I don't really see too much favor in the book. They are bidding up a little higher in here. It's just not a lot right now. All right, so let's go through a few trade examples and how you can kind of maybe consider some of these reads in here, also with some trade action. Okay. Now this is in sim, and just want to give you guys some practical use case scenarios through the trading. Okay, and then I would recommend that you look into some of these ideas in here once you start to understand exactly what you're looking for, and that's your trading plan. All right, so let's see, it was 6:30 my time here, right? I'm sorry, 6:15 my time here. We had nice move down, pull back, nice move down. Okay, and I had done a measured move of this move down into here, and I was looking for the buyers to come back in, and just, this was a counter trend trade. Okay, now I don't like counter trend trades. They're very easy to take, but they're very hard to get a nice counter trend trade, because the market has shown a direction, and you're fighting it basically. Okay, so if you're taking counter trend trades, make sure you have some confluences in here, whatever they might be. In this case, it was kind of a bigger measured move, high liquidity here, and then I also saw buyers coming in here. Okay, now they had not cleared this area in here, and even gone above the swing, so this would have been probably a better area in here for that reason. Right now, I actually just took profit up here a little bit. It was a very quick trade, and I'm not going to go into scaling in and out. This is kind of all in, all out. Actually, this example, I did have a scale example down here because I took a shot at it, and immediately I did place one more here. So this was half a position. Okay, so I don't want to talk too much about scaling, because let's just talk about all in, all out, looking for something high probability, and then just get good at that, and then we can work on scaling. Right, so it's more advanced and can be very confusing along the way. So here we have the move down. Okay, seller's still in control, but I'm starting to now. Why did I want to buy here? I'll tell you why. I saw buyers in here. I also saw some buyers in here, and a bit of buying in here. Here's beautiful, Stephen, exhaustion up in this area. So seller's still in control, but I know there's some buying interest. So I'm looking for a move back to the bottom of this range, or maybe back into this value area, or most traded level in here. So somewhere around here, maybe 10 or 11. 10 looks pretty good in here, right? Right back to here. Which actually shows a pretty good, if there's exhaustion here at that value level, there's no interest in transacting here, look for those sellers to push it one more time, minimum. Donkey Face, welcome. All right, covered some of your material in the your journaling in the Bookmap Academy meeting yesterday. All right, so anyway, a buy here, okay, due to some of the buying that I saw previously, and a measured move, and liquidity, as well as this big buy dot here. Okay, half a position, still looking for it to maybe push lower, and then what happened in here was, well, I got my move back up here. It kind of popped very, very quickly back to the bottom of this range in here. If the market's going to give me that, I'm going to take it, and not try to fight it here. There's my pop. That's the move I'm looking for. I moved this down immediately and got filled in here, and I'm out. That's it. Okay, so just now this was kind of a riskier counter trend trade, but I had some reasoning behind it, okay? And then I'm out. Right now, I took another one here going with the trend, and I had my trend lines in here at that point. I had drawn up these two bigger trend lines. You know, I was looking for a move. It could come down to the bottom of the trend line in here, but I wasn't quite sure yet. Let me go through the decisions in here. So I know there's some buying. So I'm not sure if we're going to come back up to maybe, you know, another area in here. I saw some buying coming in here. I saw some exhaustion here. And then I saw some selling coming in. When I saw that, that's when I'm looking for them to carry it lower. And I'm just hitting singles here now. Okay, so I see this line here. Let me duplicate it. Right, so this line here was derived from this move here. Okay, and then I placed it here. Now, why did I do this? My thinking was that here was a counter trend trade. So maybe we get a counter kind of if we're getting buyers in here, we might get a move back up into the range in here. Okay, so maybe the sellers don't really massively take control in here. So I'm just looking for a minimum of a move, and that would be something around this range in here. Okay, so it's what, 07 on up to about 10, 3 points or so, something like that. Okay, that's what I'm looking for, just 3 points. I'm looking for getting in, having it carry down to it, and then getting out. All right, just hitting that single and building confidence. And what is the minimum move I'm looking for? Just that. And I had my reasons for it. Maybe I get kind of a counter trend trade in here, or a lack of selling, and then buyers really come in, and we get the bigger move the opposite direction. So I'm just looking for that move, and then I'm out. Now I move my stop down to break even after a bit here. You can see it in here, right in here, and then I got filled here. Okay, so I also moved my previously I moved my stop up. Now you can take a look in here and what I've got as my bracketed orders in here. Okay, I put my take profit at 20, my stop loss at 10. All right, so 2 to 1, and I just get in, and then I'll move them around and manage them actively. All right, so just so you guys know that these are kind of random when they're placed, and then I move them. Can I show an example of spoofing? Sure, if we can find a good example, I'll look for it. All right, so anyway, this turned out to be a really big move to the downside, and I didn't know that. You know, I see high liquidity in here. I have my trend channel. Well, look how it broke that and came all the way back down here. Okay, but I'm fine with that. Like, this is all I'm looking for. Hit the single, and then come back and reevaluate this later. And then, like, would I have made a different decision if I knew this? You know, in hindsight, right? Now, one of the things that we can you'll see this in the auction process in here. This is a big move. On big moves like that, and it sometimes out of the blue, you don't quite know understand these bigger moves, you can see a big retest right back to those areas in here. Okay, so you know, this seems kind of like random all of a sudden. We'll look for, you know, a move back into it as well. I know that can be frustrating a lot of times, and trying to understand the market's just doing whatever it wants. Well, there's some reasons that it retested back to here. Okay, this is where that selling came in. It's a massive stop run in here, and the buyers come back and retest right back to this area here. Okay, and it is the bottom of this trend channel in here. Right, so you can even look for those kinds of things. Look for trading it back to those levels in here. Just some concepts to consider. look how this trend line still held, right? So traders are making decisions off of these areas in here. It's still, this was just kind of out of the norm, but it came right back into the norm here. Right now, I took a couple more trades in here as well. Okay, just two more, and then we'll come back into the live action. All right, so now these are small scalps, and I just want to go over very easy, quick examples in here, all in, all out for today, and just build confidence. All right, so here, now I know there's a strong move here. I know that's kind of equal to the strong move over here. There's actually more selling than there is buying. Look at the bars and look at the dots in here. Okay, so a lot of buying in here, but that's the majority of it. These up in here, it's a little less than all of the selling coming in here. All right, so sellers still in control. We come back up, test the top of this level in here. We see the sellers come in again. I get another pullback in here, and do I see buyers in here? No. So I'm looking at sellers in here. I'm looking again for selling to curl in here. Okay, here's our exhaustion. Here's a little bit of selling coming in. And then I'm looking to take it back down just to the bottom of the range here. That's it. Right? I'm not looking for a bigger move here. The concept, you can look for these bigger moves. You just have to widen your stops and your targets. All right, so here we get the move back down to almost the bottom of the range. Okay, it came like a tick away from me, yeah, well, basically 2 ticks away from me. Now that may not seem like much, but it is a lot actually, because not only does it have to go 2 ticks, it basically has to go 3 or 4 ticks for my limit order to get filled here. It needs to trade into it and through it, basically. Keep that in mind when you're using your take profits. This is one of the reasons why I like to front run some of that high liquidity in the order book in here. Okay, because then I don't have to wait for these guys, 121 contracts in front of me. Okay, I'm in front of them. I cut the line basically, and that's a lot of liquidity. So I cut the line, and then what did I do? Immediately, when it didn't hit my my take profit down here, as soon as I saw that, now I was in front of the screen here, so I could actively manage this. I moved it down to break even, and I got stopped out at break even. So that's a scratch trade, right? So there's your scratch, and then what did I see here again? Right, so buyers back up here. It fails above this range, comes back in. I see sellers in again. I'm looking for them to take it down. Now, I don't have the order book on my side here, really. This is pre-market, and maybe it's a bit different. And I get in here, goes against me. I see the exhaustion in here. Looking again for sellers. Don't really see them until we get back down to here. Now here, my profit taking decisions was the bottom of the swing, and that's it. Okay, hit the single, it went through it here, because I know now that there's some buying starting to come in some of these areas in here, and it's starting to kind of make me a little nervous in here. Maybe I'm not. I can see the buying in here and in here, and I got short here. Right, I'm still looking for sellers in control in these areas here, but I'm seeing the buying coming in. Okay, so I'm going to take some off at the bottom of the range for that reason. Right, I moved it up pretty quickly here as I saw the selling coming in, and then took my profit. Now it went through it, and then it came right back up, and this is kind of slop in here. I mean, it's kind of all over the place, right? So I'm just looking for the bottom of the range, and I'm out. Okay, hit the single. I don't know what's going to happen after that. All right, and you can see it's kind of hard to determine what happens after that. It's all over the place in here. All right, I hope this makes sense. And what we're looking for in order flow, and also in this case, it's more of a kind of a trend. Well, this was a counter trend trade here. The rest were with the trend. All right. So some considerations here in here. They're not trade recommendations. We're not trying to tell you any specific way to trade. These are just some ideas, and this was my approach to the markets today. Right. That was it. That's all I have for you in terms of trading activity. Okay. But just hit a few singles. I'm out, and then move forward. All right. So what did we miss in here today? Since we were away from that order flow activity, not much. You can see that we got our counter trend move back up here, looking to see if it might turn into a trend. It didn't. Okay, and this is kind of interesting little area in here. Here's our kind of pivot area here. See where these buyers came in? See where the sellers came in? It's bouncing off of it. Sellers came in here, a bit lower. Okay, so in fact, there's more sellers again here. I'm looking for the sellers to now move it to the bottom of the range here at 10. Okay, so it's a little late there, but getting in maybe somewhere here or here. Here is actually, I think, safer. Taking some off at 10. There it is. And then looking for maybe continuation now. Why continuation now? Because I see the sellers have taken control, right? Let me cover it again. The buying in here and in here it's kind of shifting over, and it shifted. It's basically at this line right here. Okay, trying to be a little more precise with the line. Okay, and there we go. Nice move to the downside. Okay, so now, yeah, I would have liked to have scaled. If it's all in, all out, I'm taking my profit down here at 10, and then look for the next one. All right. Good morning, Jack. We missed you yesterday. Let's see, at the Bookmap Academy meeting. Anyway, good to have you back. We'll now see. Look at how the buyers come right back here. All right, so we're just taking the high probability outcome and then looking for the next, hitting that single, building confidence. We don't know this is going to happen here. Okay, sellers are still in control, right? So we can even look for another possible pullback in here to get back in. And now, do we have something in here? Not really. I mean, the buying's kind of climbing in here. And take a look at this in here. Now, the selling move started here. Okay, so we're back up to here now. Right? And I would anticipate some selling to come back in here. But what I want to show is this here. Where did all that selling, where was the majority of that selling? It's down here. And buyers are back up above it. Okay, so there's selling in here, but how does this selling in here relate to this buying in here is the question. This part in here we can take away from the equation, because we're already above it. And that's heavy selling, but we're above it. Okay. Now we can look for pullbacks to this area here at 10. Okay. Just not really seeing much in here right now. We would anticipate the sellers maybe to come back in, but we don't have too much. The buying was pretty good here. The order book is irrelevant at this point. We're not really seeing much except for maybe some of this liquidity here. And we're looking for that skew in the offer and the bid to give us some more information. In fact, guys, let me show you, like, it really is the context between the volume, price structure, and the order book. But we've done this many times in the past. We're going to take off the volume dots. Okay, and we're just going to look at price action with best bid and offer, streaming, in the order book. Okay, and we'll do the same thing. Where do we think price is going to go? Well, look at the book in here. See how it's starting to come in? What's the reaction? Some sellers. Okay, They just tested this area in here, and we know we found some interest to take it back up here. And so they did take it back up here. Right? So let's take a look again. Right? We're looking for a skew in that book. Their offers are up here, the bids are down here. Not getting much out of the book, to be honest. It's not maybe a good time for this example or exercise, but there's a little bit here on the offer. There we go. Okay, so more on the offer. Now let's see, do these guys pull? I'm looking for the sellers to trade into 13 or maybe 12. Okay, just based off the skew here. So now see how that changed? Okay, now at 14, there's some interest. Now they pulled. We'll get to that spoofing question earlier. Okay, this is a potential spoof. They're kind of testing the market, I think, and seeing like how much demand is there by the aggressors. Okay, so here we can see now we're getting our answer in here and they come in on the offer in here, and now they're pushing it. Okay, see how they can make, we can see how I personally think there's no kind of, there's some manipulation and voodoo out there for sure. However, I think a lot of the traders are just testing the market and putting their orders in. What's the reaction? What do we get? How do people react to things? And then they make a decision. Okay, so for example, I think we just saw that in here. All right, let's go through it. Okay, so we saw this earlier. We saw this coming in. All right, we're looking for 13, maybe 12. This disrupted it at 14, and then they pulled. So they just kind of tested it in here. And then, yeah, we see that not getting too much out of it at the moment. Okay? We just know that they tested and they pulled. Okay, we didn't get a whole lot of buying out of that. Okay? Now we're seeing that the market move back down, and look at this liquidity coming down, especially in here. Let me make this a little bit easier with the cutoff values in here. Okay, we'll lower them a little bit. Okay, and you can start to see a little bit better in here. All right, look at it pick up in here. Okay? And look at this especially in here. And what's the reaction? Right. So here, after testing this test in here, we see the liquidity come in here, looking for the move lower. Make sense? All right, we'll do it again. Okay, liquidity on the offer coming down. Okay, here's a test in here. Well, seller's still in control. Now they just tested in this liquidity here at 07. Here's a little bit more. How does the market react to it? Okay, it's testing it. Testing it. Looks like seller's going to trade into it and through it. Let's see. No, they come back in and we see a reaction here. All right, so we get a reaction. Now I'm looking for the buyers now to trade back up to 10. Okay, because the reaction to this liquidity in here was we started to see buyers. Now they pulled in here originally. That's why I was looking for the move lower. Now they started to come back in here, and we're finding buyers. Okay, so we didn't get up to 10. We got up to about 9.25. And well, maybe we need to get a little more confirmation in here then. Okay, they're still on the offer. They're adding in here on the offer. Okay, the skew is to the downside. Okay, they're pulling on the bid. Okay, we're really between two areas of high liquidity here. We're looking at the kind of details in the order book in here. Good morning, Uri. Nice to see you in here. Yeah, see how we're just right in the middle between the two here. That's why we're looking for someone to test it, and then we'll see the reaction and where the market might go next. Okay, we're not looking at transactions right now. Okay, we're getting a value out of the okay, I gotta see, I'm in an alpha version right now, 7.5, guys. So this is in testing phase, just to let you know. Okay, well, we can see the this was there's a little bit of a skew in here, but it traded into this area in here, and here we go. Okay, traded into it here, and I'm looking actually to see if we get a reaction off of this, and buyers to trade it back to here, actually, to about 07. No, this was the retest that we got. It was only to 06.5 here. Okay, but after that liquidity transacts, a bit of a bounce and a move back up into the liquidity on the offer. Okay, so here's a test by buyers in here. Okay, still testing on the bid here. I'm not getting too much out of it. Guys, you'll especially note this kind of testing of high liquidity in these areas in here at key levels. It can be pretty fast and furious. All right, so now I think we're down at a key level in here, because look at this in here. See this high liquidity in here, but then on the offer here, well, maybe one more push down into 02. But this is, you'll note this at these key levels, this right in here. If these sellers in here are taken on by the buyers, we're looking for a bit more buying back above it here. It means the buyers are starting to take control. And we will not trade back down to that high liquidity in here. Okay, that's why we look for to see this reaction in here. Does it transact? And see now, look how they're on the bid now at a higher level in here. Do we get buyers or sellers hitting into it? Looks like we did. Okay, but look at the buying interest here. Okay, now we're back up above. Now see how buyers will take control here, and they'll move it back up to 05.5. Let's see a little more action on the bid here. Still need to see a bit more on the bid. There it is in here. All right, then let's see. We should get some buyers up here at 04, and then the move up into 05.5 or so. This swing looks pretty good. And now that would be a counter trend move too. Okay, we're just looking at the appetite. We're trying to assume the aggressors in here, but by looking at the order book influence here, that it only has influence unless it transacts. It only has influence. And that's why a lot of people say, well, the spoofing or the orders are meaningless. They are not. They are an integral part of the market. Okay, here's a retest back down here. Now we're getting our buyers, and here's our move that we're looking for over here. Okay, or over in here. Now it's happening. Okay, just by understanding and putting the pieces together in here. Right, and that's it, just up to the top of the level. Now I don't know how much is in here, but it's a pretty strong move. We can look at maybe a potential flag pattern, or strong move, a little bit of a rest, and a strong move up into this 08 3/4 area here. Okay, so now for you dome readers, you guys do this all day long. You're reading the dome. You're looking at here's a skew in the book. What happens in here? Do we start to see a lot of transactions in here very, very quickly? Okay, so see them trade into it now. Okay, So now looking for maybe a skew in the book again on the offer. Do we see that? If we do we see the price move back down into some of these lower levels in here, maybe down to 04 again? So you're reading the order flow, okay? And how important it is to understand the order flow in here. It's just buyers and sellers, okay, and reading this. Okay, so we came down to 04.5 or 04.25, and that's been it so far. The liquidity is a little bit lower though. Okay, the question is, do we find interest in that? Here's a trader in here testing it. Yeah, we're finding that sellers are coming in. Now we're getting the move back up on the buy side here. Okay, but we're down below it again. So yeah, I'd still look for this 04 to transact. Nope, not getting it. They're pulling up here. All right, so anyway, we're just using here, we have the COB column or the depth of market and reading the just like a regular dome, but what we're doing is instead in Bookmap we're using the heat map, and then getting that information in the heat map. We do have the dome. We can open it up. Dome Pro, great product. And let me show you this. Okay, for those of you who like to read the dome, we've got all sorts of columns in here: volume columns, volume delta columns, volume profile on the sell side, on the buy side. Here's the delta. Here's your session volume profile, etc. Okay, so nice move here, actually, to the upside. And these little darker areas in here, wow, we got some volatility in here. These little darker areas in here actually relate to, it's kind of a bit of a cheat, that we can highlight the high liquidity in these levels in here, kind of like the heat map. So it's kind of like a real-time heat map in here. And look at, so we see a skew here on the offer, right? So all we need to do is now look for them to start hitting the bid here hard. Okay, this is the recent bid. So looking for numbers here to start to mount, starting to get it. All right, looking for the sellers to, I'm sorry, these are on the bid here, right? We're looking for sellers to take this lower now. I'm sorry, these are the sellers. Yeah, this always confused me. So it's recent bid trades. These are aggressive sellers in here, right? So it's just the language in here. These are the aggressive buyers in here, right? So, and we also have the last trade quantity here. Okay? Watching these, so they're hitting the bid, hitting the bid. Okay, we have the skew here in the auction, hitting the bid, looking for sellers to take it back down to maybe 04. And 04, we have our reasons, right? Right, same thing in here. In fact, let's bring it both over. And they're still on the offer, still on the offer. So it looks like buyers are fighting it though. That I'm just seeing more sellers here though, more and more sellers. So I'm still looking for sellers to take it down. Okay, based on these recent transactions hitting the bid. Okay, and the skew here in the on the offer. Okay, so just looking for a little bit of a break in here, some transactions to start to pick up in here. Here we go. See the orders transacting in here, and the liquidity depleting very, very quickly. There's 220. All right, let's see them now move it here. Okay, there's 113, there's 33, there's 50. Okay, back to the 115, retest it in here. Okay, this here, these retests that you see here are back to your high volume node. It is the same concept. In fact, let me show you here. Oops, sorry about that. Let me show you here our high volume nodes. Let's put the transactions back on, right? And our 220 in here, or now it's 285 at 07. Here they are, right here. Right here they are here. Okay, so that's your high volume node. Now, are we getting buyers back up above it here? They're trying to see them come in. I'm sorry, it's 08 at 08. It's these transactions up here. Okay. Well, there's a fade. Okay. Now buyers are back in. Now, if the buyers can get back above this, then they're going to trade up into this 160. Or sorry, 10 and 11 here. So it's the opposite now, right? And they are doing that. It's flipping here. These guys now, this is your trap in here. Okay, we were looking for it. We saw them coming in. We saw them coming in. We're looking for that move down into 04, right? This here, we saw it in the dome, and you can see it here, exactly what we're covering in the heat map. Okay, I hope this is making sense to you guys. Like we're not making it up in here. This is why we draw these boxes like this, and we say this is a pivot point. If we can get buyers back up above it, we should get our stop run, and we did. Here is our stop run here. Okay, this is the squeeze. This is a short squeeze here. All right, let's turn it into another flag pattern in here. Pause and back up into high liquidity in here. This is weird, kind of weird action in here. All right, on the drawing tool. Anyway, all right, and that would be it. Makes perfect sense. Okay, Ida, it's really good to hear. I hope that it also makes for you dome traders in here make sense of some of these things in here, because it's the same examples that you've probably been looking at for ages, right? It's just way more visual here in Bookmap. We were looking at those transactions, we saw the skew in the order book here in the dome. We saw the transactions taking place here. We're looking for the move lower. We got them. It retested again, and then it came back up in here, and we're like, whoa, hold on, wait a minute. If we do get buyers back up above that area, where was it? Was that at this 07 or 07 and a half or so? Okay, so 07 and a half down here. Now these numbers have changed and updated. No, here it is, 07 and a quarter. Okay, right here. Here's the squeeze. Look at it. Right, we had an edge to the downside, and then here's the squeeze now to the upside. All right, so anyway, it's just a different way of visualizing the data. We'll have to have Gary Norden come in again, complete expert in the dome. In fact, let me show you guys, like, if you want to take a look at that, I highly recommend it. He's excellent. We have a playlist for Gary. Just go to our playlist here on YouTube, and you'll see him here. Okay, it's fascinating. He'll take you through the whole history here. He was there in the life pits, and talking about electronic trading starting to unfold, and these kind of rudimentary versions of the dome. It's really interesting stuff, and he was helping develop the dome and giving feedback. Here's an example. They were using this called ATP in here. In fact, it was kind of like a mock pit, and here's the price in here, and here are your players in here, and this is how they originally visualized it back in kind of, I think it's the early 90s, maybe late 80s, early 90s, I don't know, something like that. And then they went from this to, and they got feedback, and they went to something like this in here, right? And it kind of turned into the dome that it is today. And then this now, he prefers to trade off of this, and he says that this is all the information you need for the kind of trading he does. What we're doing in Bookmap is basically it's the same information. It's just you can zoom out and see it on a higher time frame. All right, and this is really golden in here because look at this higher time frame in here. Look at this pullback in here. And we were looking for, God, it was yeah, I think was it these two in here? Shoot, losing track of it. No, we were looking at it here earlier. Yeah, right in here. Okay, so we're looking at it in here. And then here's our breakout. Here's the retest back to that area, and here's the continuation. Okay, and look at the buyers coming in again. Okay, back up to looking for 15 now. And now let's look at some measured moves in here as well. It's probably already done it. Maybe up to about here though, be a little bit higher here. And then we're going to look for a pullback. Okay, we're already getting our pullback, to be honest. Okay, so now we're looking for, again, a re-attack here by the buyers and see if they can come back up to 12 or 13 and then break out up into 14, 15, 14 and a half, 15. Okay, here they come. Let's see it. Let's see, do we get a skew in the order book? They're starting to pull here, adding a little here. Okay. Got just a retest here and a pullback. Here we go. See the skew here? Looking for our buyers here. Then the breakout up into here and here. There we go. All right. Makes sense. Still buying. So still looking for 15. Got a little bit of a pullback here. Tested it here. Buyers, found buyers, looking for buyers to hit 15, maybe 16. There's 15. And then there's kind of a vacuum in here on the bid right now, so sellers can take it right back down. So take your profit. Now here they are on the bid again, and we found buyers, so we're looking for the move higher. All right, guys, I'm going to close the dome some good examples though in real time, how to read these things and put that together. And then in terms of spoofing, well, we didn't really cover spoofing. I mean, maybe a spoof in here. It kind of looks indicative of a spoof. Kind of layering on 1, 2, 3, 4 levels in here and push price down, and then they take it away here. All right, so this is kind of like a spoof in here, basically, which was very successful. It got the price to move back down to where these buyers came in. All right, that should answer your question there. Oh yeah, does Jim Simmons use this kind of information in his algos? Oh, completely. Guys, you wouldn't. I mean, when I first started with Bookmap, the trader that trained me on this made me read some of the white papers, and these are from known quants as well as lots of financial engineers that they want to work at the banks. So they're coming up with all sorts of different things that, what affects price, etc. And this was kind of the heyday, 10 years ago or so, for all of that algorithmic trading. And oh yeah, they're looking at everything that affects price. In terms of indicators and stuff, that I don't know exactly what what the secret sauce of Simmons is. Um, I've got his book and I've been reading it, but it's I kind of gave up on it. It was um, more of a story form. But anyway, and I was getting kind of tired of reading about his history and his wife and university and all that kind of stuff. But what affects price? It comes back to first principles again. What affects price? Well, orders affect price, right? Now, what you can just say, you can just leave it at that in terms of what affects price, and then you might make someone might make an argument, well, it's the fundamentals. Yeah, that's true, but it's still the orders of traders and participants based off the fundamentals, right? So again, it comes back to there have to be orders in the market for it to trade and for it to move. There has to be. Even if the move was, let's say, no one, let's just go through a crazy example. Okay, up here, this will be a good example. Okay, we'll skew the heat map in here. All right, let's suppose there's only a few traders in here trading this market, and let's suppose there's a buyer in here who wants to buy, and there's a seller. He's up here at 20, okay, 48.20. This buyer, if he wants to buy, okay, let's suppose like the FOMC comes out and the news, I don't even want to say if interest rates rose or whatever. The news is good, okay, it's bullish for the markets when he wants to buy. If he buys down here at 13 or 14, he's going to get filled here. So even this big move in here of 6 points took place because of the participants. And then someone would say, oh my God, it just moved 6 points just like that. Wow, that's incredible. Well, not really. There's only two participants in the market at that time. So that's what unfolded. And that volatility unfolded only because of the lack of participants. And these are really easy things. Sorry guys, I don't mean to digress too much, but understanding these markets and the participants is what makes up and the order flow is what makes up the price action, is a pretty big concept, or it's a pretty big truth in the market. And a lot of traders don't go into those details. Instead, they're going to read an indicator and just go, yeah, I'm gonna short it if it comes up to that indicator. And with the details that we're seeing here in Bookmap, though, we can get so much more information out of it. What is the appetite for it to trade up here? Okay, what about these traders in here, these sellers in here? Do we get back above it? If we do, and we see buyers, and we get maybe a shift in the order book as well, yeah, we'd be looking for it to trade up to here. No problem. Then we'll look and see if we want to short it up here. Maybe we don't. Maybe this liquidity pulls and flips to the bid, and we're still finding buyers at that time. All right, guys. I know you get the idea. So let's get to some questions in here. Yeah, visual dome, Rob, absolutely. And hitting singles. There you go, Rob. Yep, I loved your content from just yesterday, and that's why I wanted to cover it and cover the singles in here, hitting these singles. Build that confidence. See how they're pulling that liquidity and we're finding buyers? Great. All right, so here's your mean reversion traders right now to trade it back to VWAP. And what's up at VWAP? Look at all that liquidity up there. Okay. All right, buyers. Well, if that is the case, then you should be able to reach this 19 or 20 level up here. Okay, now a lot of things happen on the smaller time frame in here, but this is the concept. We're seeing them pull, we're getting our buyers, we're seeing the bid in here. We should be moving up to some sort of mean in here. And it doesn't even have to be. We can even take the VWAP off here. Who cares about the VWAP? I care about the liquidity. This is where the sellers are up here. All right, so that's what we would look for then. So anyway, that comment about Simmons in there, yeah, some of those white papers and some of the details they get into, they're almost all based on the order book. It's essential. Thanks, Alois. Yep. Yeah, the Russell kind of does its own thing. It's kind of a weird one. Anyway, guys, when we don't see, this is another thing that's really important. And Rob, this is something I wanted to really cover. Uh, when we don't see clarity, we don't get clarity in here. Well, we don't know, and nor does a lot of other players don't know either. I mean, we can't, tell what's going on, and that's why you'll see this testing and then something change and flip. That's my opinion, but we see it all the time in here. We'll see high liquidity flash here, flash there. What's the reaction? What happens in here? And it makes sense. It's kind of like you're dipping your toe in the pool a little bit. What's the temperature? Let's test it a bit. What's the appetite? I mean, there's all sorts of things these algos are reading very, very quickly, making decisions on correlated markets, geopolitical, many different inputs, different time frames, different players. It's all mashed into the market. Okay, so earlier we were looking for that move up into 20, and yeah, it still looks good, but we're getting a bit of a pullback now. Okay, here's some exhaustion in here and sellers coming in. Maybe they can take it a little lower, maybe down into 14, and or even down here, and we could still be bullish down to yeah, about 14. Okay, so it tested down here. Buyers back up. Can they get above these guys in here? Yep. All right. So now I'm looking for these buyers to come in. And here's the test on the offer. We found buyers. All right, looking for buyers again. Now I'm looking for buyers to now move it back up to the top of the range and then to break out into our 19 and 20. Okay, they're above that same flip that we saw in the dome earlier here. Okay. Interesting. All right, so the buyers didn't squeeze the sellers yet. The sellers come back in. The buyers might get squeezed now. We might get one more push to 13 and 12. Look, I got it wrong in here. looking for the move up to the upside in here based off of this kind of flip that we saw in the dome in earlier. Now here we go again, same idea, same concept, looking for the buyers here and then the move up into here. Okay, still can't do it. We're not finding them. We're finding sellers in here. Okay, so it's back and forth in here. We go again, one more shot at it. Okay, let's see if do we have the order book on our side in any of these examples. A little bit in here. Okay, nothing yet in here. Okay. Let's see if we do. Let's see if we get a little bit of a push here on the bid and we find our buyers in here. Look for it. Okay, it might happen really quickly. Okay, we're getting some exhaustion up here, guys. We're not getting our buyers up. It was looking pretty good here. It had the potential here. Didn't find enough. Came back up here again and didn't find enough. So now it's tested. The market has tested up here and it did not find those buyers. Okay, so this is the and we didn't have the order book on our side either. We're looking for that scenario, but we didn't have the order book on our side. We didn't have the buyers up here either. Okay, so the sellers have taken it right back down into the demand down here. That demand pulled away from the market as well. Okay, now let's see if we get a counter move here by buyers now. Okay, back up to where it dropped from. Nothing yet. In fact, more sellers hitting the bid. Okay, there's our exhaustion again, down into the high liquidity at 12. A bit of buying. Okay, now can buying get back up above here? And what about the order book? So there they go. Okay, now we got a little bit of a skew here. It's down here though. Don't like it. I want to see it up higher. I do like that they pulled in here though. That's good. And we're getting our aggressors. Okay, so we don't have all the pieces, but let's see if we get it in here. Starting to see a bit coming in at 14 there. See the test on the offer in here. Hey, there's our buyers. I really want to see a skew on the bid in here, and then get buyers at this kind of 14 and 3/4, 15. There they are. Now, do we see that skew? No. So sellers can still bring it down here. Now, this is where how much risk do you want to take? You know, what do you think of it? You know, do you know that it can come down to here really quickly? Are you prepared for that? Or do you want to wait until you see something in the order book to give you more confluence? Okay, as price starts to kind of drift away from this area though. Okay, so here, look, 15, testing again. Finding buyers though. Now watch this. Now we'll probably get a skew on the bid because we found buyers. We know there's buying interest. A little bit of a push here and we can get a nice move back up into like 17.5, 18. There they are. See that little test right there, that little push. Okay, right there. I'm not making this stuff up. And that very quickly moved us up here. Now that, you know, it's hard to we saw it in real time and it was actionable, but you have to be pretty quick. Okay, still looking for the move higher. Okay, we're back up to where it auctioned before. And let's see another skew in here on that bid. Looking for it, and then the pop up into our 19. There it is. There it is. 17. Okay, it got up to 18. And we find some sellers interested in trading to that 17 liquidity. So what does this mean in here? This is new information in here. It means like maybe we're going to get some back and forth now. Maybe we won't get up to 18 or 19. We got up to 18. Okay. Well, let's see. Well, we're above those sellers in here. Maybe we'll get another skew on the bid. Do we? Then we get to pop into 19 or 20. Nothing. Right now, sellers could take it right back down to 15 pretty easily. There's our buyers. Okay, good. What about that order book? Nothing. Exhaustion on the offer, actually. So sellers will probably take it back down a bit here. Maybe back down to about 16 or 15 and a half. What am I looking for on the bid? I'm looking for liquidity. Okay, I'm seeing liquidity here on the offer at 18. I want to see it on the bid, and there's a little bit down here. See, it's kind of a shade of blue in here. So let me go back and take down the and raise the or lower the cutoff as well. Okay, so we're looking for this kind of like, well, when there's more demand in here, do we find aggressors on the buy side, or do we find sellers interested in that demand? Yeah. So now at 18, see how we haven't really tested into it. We're not really finding that the aggressive demand in here. Okay, and if we get exhaustion, which we did here many times over, right? Okay, so now I would look for sellers in here, and then they could potentially drop it now. Now we're starting to get some demand in here in the order book. It's faint in here, but you can see it, right? This blue area here. Okay, sellers take it on. Okay, so we weren't quite sure about that, and therefore we're staying away from it. Okay, and what we had in here is we did have the exhaustion. I would have loved to have seen, it would have been great, for example, if this were dark in here. Okay, because we have exhaustion, we have some selling down here, some selling, and then looking for them to, you know, hit the bid hard back down into these levels here. Okay, so they did, but you know, they actually traded into some of that liquidity there. And now we're back up. So it's kind of back and forth right now. You can see, look at the offer here. What's the reaction? Sellers. Okay, sellers should be able to take this down to about 15 now. Just based off of this in here and this lack of a buying in here, right? So just looking for them to trade back down to about 15, and they're pulling here on the bid. Now, it didn't happen this time. We actually found demand out of that. That's odd. Really odd. Okay, so that's not what we're looking for, but now we have the potential, though, of really popping up into 19 and 20 here. Okay, because we know if that is the case, these buyers, they want to buy, and they're telling these sellers, these passive orders in here, we're buying. So, you know, now look at we should see the buyers now trade up into 19 and 20 here. Let's take a look at the bid here at the 17 and a half. Huh, some sellers are interested in it. Okay, so there's a bit of buying. All right, yeah, I'm looking for the pop up into our 19 and 20 now. Okay, flip of the book in there. It did auction up here a little bit. God, I just can't do it. Just can't do it up here. Interesting. Right? Well, yeah, so got it wrong. We got a flip of the book in here, and a move lower into this liquidity down here, targeting this 16 and a quarter. Okay, now I know there's buying interest in here though. Okay, so they did this move in here, right in front of all of this liquidity on the offer. So I know there's buying interest in here. So I'm again looking for buying interest here at this 16 and a half. If I get it, then I'm looking for a move right back up to 18 here. And we're not getting it. Okay, back down to 15. Okay, and still, again, looking for our buying interest. Here they come. Buying interest again at 16 and 3/4. Let's see a skew in the book here. There's a little bit, not much. There it is, a little bit of a skew here. And let's see if these aggressors now can move it right back up to our 18 and then through it. We're still waiting for the move into that high liquidity up here at 19 and 20 and 21. And that's our VWAP as well, as you guys know. Get rid of those goofy buyers. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, though, is like we know that there's some buying interest. That's, it's in here. Okay? And then we know there's some selling interest in here, too. So it's back and forth. And we don't have our bars in here like that. Oops, sorry. We can put our VWAP back on. Okay, so here we are back up here. Buyers looking for a little skew in the liquidity on the book and find our buyers and trade right up into 19 and 20 and 21. Okay, so the bid is looking pretty decent on a little bit higher time frame. I'd like to see it right underneath it. But I think we got it here. Let's just see if we can get a bit more buying up here, right at this kind of 18 level, skew in the book, and we should get a nice pop. No, they're pulling. That was started a pull in here. It kind of opens the door for the sellers to hit the bid. Okay, so it's not ready yet. Not again, another rotation, most likely. Yeah, it's fighting it up in here, no doubt. Okay, here comes our attack right here. Okay, pulling on the offer. Nah, they didn't really add too much on the bid, so it doesn't look so great. In fact, here they're adding on the offer, and we're finding sellers. Okay, so we've seen some kind of weird action in here on the bid and the offer, or in the depth, and then the transactions has been a little off in some of those areas. I know in here that we confronting this liquidity in here, we found buyers and they traded up to here. Now it's a stop run too. However, there is some interest to attack these areas in here. So I'm still looking for the buyers to attack back up here. It's just not enough yet, and they just keep giving up at some of these areas here. Hey, here's that liquidity on the offer. Look at buyers are interested in it. So this is a good sign. Again, without a skew on the bid, buyers are interested in this kind of 17 liquidity here. Here's our potential spoof. Look at this. One player just came in with 3 orders here, all the same size, and he just all pulled. There's your spoof at GH. Okay, that's a spoof. Very indicative. Okay, this is a test. What's the reaction? Well, here's our reaction: sellers. And this can be maddening in here when this kind of stuff happens, but you just saw that right in real time in front of us here. Yeah, and the reaction was sellers, right? Whereas we were, we kept looking for buyers in these areas in here, and this told us a little something in here. Okay, it's yeah, it was kind of mean, kind of nasty. One player, I know it's the same player in here. He came in at this level first, skewed it again, all the same order size in here. Out of 198 is probably 100 lot, 100 lot on 3 levels in here. And the reaction was to the sell side. Okay, so that spoof kind of kicked it off in here. Look at the reaction. Right, whereas we were looking for those buyers. Okay? And we again and again, just to get back up into this area here of liquidity. Well, that's over now. Okay, now we're going to see the sell side. Watch the stops to the downside here. Okay, now we get low enough, and maybe this is it. Yeah, not bad level here. Okay, also high volume node here, just tested it. Okay, so now we can get a retest back up to there. This would be another mean reversion type of trade. Okay, also your high volume nodes in here. Okay, but we got to look for this to turn around and change and come back up. So here we go. So see this here and the buyers above it. Great. All right, let's see if we can get back up to about 08 or 09. Here's a skew in the book. We're finding buyers looking for 09. That skew was short-lived, very short-lived. They flipped. Yeah, it totally flipped here. Okay, the flip is here on the bid, finding buyers, flipped on the offer, finding sellers. So yeah, this stuff changes quickly. That's why, like, we want to look for something really clear to make sense of a lot of this action. When we really see that clarity in here, because this happens all day long. Okay, now here's another flip on the offer, on the bid here, finding buyers. Great. Okay, back to 09, maybe back to 11 or 10 and a half. Okay, so here it's looking a lot better now. Let's go back to the default. Okay, traded to 09. Okay, so let's see if we can. They're pulling at 10, so we can float back to 11 in this transaction here. Why are you the only one chatting in here, donkey face? I don't know. I hope there's a interest in this. You don't need to follow it all so closely. I mean, like, you can see, like, this spoof had an effect, and in my opinion, it did, at least. Made these markets move in here, and we see the stops unwind in here. So it's the markets are complex. I mean, there's probably more going on than it's just not a spoof in here that made this unfold. I just think that this was probably coordinated. If we take a look at the NASDAQ here, what time is this? 11:36. Let's jump over here. NASDAQ. Let's just close that up. NASDAQ. 1136. See if we get a spoof in here. Not really. That's interesting. I thought for sure we would. Huh. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, usually you kind of see it coordinated a lot of the times, but yeah, not this time. I mean, maybe it's this in here. We can say it happened maybe in the Nasdaq earlier. There's no doubt about that. That's higher liquidity that transcends the this kind of you know whoever it is, kind of stat arbitrage, or I don't think it's market making algos, but like these guys following the Nasdaq along the way. Well, here's a skew here, no question about it, and finally we get the move to the downside. Yeah, Nasdaq is typically leading these moves. All right, guys. Anyway, this was, I hope, a worthy exercise to go through and start to understand, starting from market structure and understanding it's about the orders. That's what makes it up. That's why we're looking at the order flow, what affects the markets, putting these pieces together, and then looking for the move to unfold in a specific direction. A bit of a challenge in some of these areas up in here was looking for it, and then it just ended up unwinding here after this kind of spoof in here. But when we look for these things in here, we look for all the pieces when it really does tell us something. Okay, so we're just trying to read it in real time here. All right, now, so go back in hindsight and do this, and start to look at, wow, okay, here's high liquidity here, but we found buyers interested in taking that on. Okay, and what about all this selling down here? Well, they're going to be getting stopped out to the upside in here if we can get back above it. And you can clearly see we retested these transactions in the top of the structure here. That structure was formed due to this high liquidity on the offer. We get the retest, we come back up. In fact, they pull some of the on the offer in here, and buyers take it on up to the next levels of liquidity. Right, so it just happens again and again and again. And we looked at the dome and derived meaning from that, and then showed it also in Bookmap. We went over some trades and reviewed some decision-making processes, trade management wise as well. Right. So now, Rob, I want to double back and just go over one element in here, because like what we're covering in here was more. I wouldn't say it's more advanced stuff, but there was a lot of potential for confusion. There's a lot of shifting, a lot of changing. In some of these areas, it was confusing just because we saw the liquidity in here on the offer, but and the bid was kind of wide open. There's not much there, but we found aggressors anyway. That's why I was looking for the move higher in here, and we didn't get it, and that is confusing. But that's what ended up happening in a couple examples in here, right? So what I mean to say, and try to make it less confusing, is when you start to look at some of these areas, okay, look at and lean on this structure in here to give you insight. So for example, right now, sellers clearly moved it away. Okay, so your sell side, you're looking at the behavior in the auctions in here. Okay, sellers. Okay, where did the pullback come to? It came back to this swing here, peeked its head above, found sellers again. Not enough buyers, sellers again. Came back up here, didn't find buyers. So we're looking for this exhaustion there. sellers, trade it back down to here. So we're still leaning. Just go back and try to simplify this instead of like looking at the here and the now and basing it, oh, I'm looking for this flag pattern, or I'm looking for this, some sort of pattern to unfold here. Instead, look at all of this back here and then start to lean on that to where price might go next through scenarios. Build those scenarios, right? So I think that'll help you, and I think it'll also make things clearer and less confusing. The markets, like, if you got it wrong, like you covered in your video and your content the other day, just get out. Okay, it's telling you something. All right, well, or maybe you read it wrong. It's not always making sense. Okay? We just want to trade when it does make sense for us, and we wait for it to come to us. And all that other stuff in between, we don't know. And we wait for clarity on our side, then we can act. Okay, because we know what that looks like and we know how to use it, and that's our edge. All right, guys. So thanks, everybody. Have a good weekend. Let's wrap it up, and we will see you next week. Hit the like button if you can. That always helps us. And we'll see you on Monday. Have a good weekend. Okay. All right. Yep. Thanks, everybody. Yeah. Take care.